Now he's had time to look at it, Alan Bates has rejected the cruel and derisory compensation offer from the government. But I think the important thing about the government offer is the demonstration that the government recognises responsibility in this issue, and it's a starting point. It's a starting point. I think there is no doubt now at all that Alan Bates and the victims of the Horizon scandal, including the people who are victims of the post office franchised systems in supermarkets, which was revealed yesterday in Prime Minister's questions, all of these victims are victims, even those who have not been exonerated, who have been through the court system and have been told that their cases are upheld. Why? Because they're all based on this faulty software, and they're all based on an aggressive and unprincipled investigation technique. Those two things alone are enough, I think, to scupper any court case which was brought against the people who are working as sub-postmasters, sub-postmistresses around the smaller post offices in the country. It's an appalling perversion of justice, and the fact that it goes on and on and on is an indictment of our extraordinarily foot-dragging methodology. We see it in COVID, we see it in Horizon, we see it in Windrush, we see it in the haemophilia scandal, we see it again and again and again. Malkinson, it's not enough to say, yes, we're going to pay you, and then not do so. It's not enough to say, yes, we'll give you a little pittance. Oh, yes, we'll confuse restitution with compensation because we are the master of the dictionary. No. The government, and this particular government, is proving that it isn't even a master of basic English. It is a master of... It's not a master of deceit, because its attempted deceits are so blatantly wrong. It's a master of bullying. And it also runs around the place saying other people shouldn't bully. Well, that's the problem. That's the problem. Its example is wrong. And Alan Bates has struggled to exonerate his own and others' names following the wrongful convictions. And I think the ITV drama is it's up there with sort of Cathy Come Home and stuff, performing a social function, which is really what great drama is supposed to do. And the full and fair, he says, might be His Majesty's government's interpretation, but in reality the offer is derisory, offensive, and after all this time, yes, cruel. I think he's absolutely right, and it's shocking. I will absolutely be turning this offer for financial redress down. It's just a terrible way to treat human beings, and I've heard from several sub-postmasters who have received similarly derisory offers, while others are still waiting. The offer was made on Wednesday, 111 days after his claim, prepared with the help of forensic accountants engaged by his lawyers, had been submitted. I've been in the queue along with all the others in the scheme, but if my case is an example of the way they are going to treat all cases, we may as well start looking at legal action again and let the judiciary decide. He was offered an average of about £20,000, like many. So he and many of the people have been offered about £20,000 after a High Court ruling in 2019. And the thing about Alan Bates and so many of the sub-postmasters and sub-postmistresses is he was meticulous in his record keeping, and he saw unexplained losses, in the branch's accounts, and he wasn't cowed by the system. And it's that same system that we see when we buy a piece of faulty software, and it, we get it doesn't work, and we're then told, oh, you bought the wrong type, you have to buy the right type, and then we will give you a refund, and you wait for the refund, and weeks go by because our system has got into a habit of bullying. This isn't about law, and it isn't about right, it isn't about ethics, it's about power. And it's about being found out, and the government doesn't want to be found out, and the Fujitsu and the post office want to hold on to the power they've got. Power. And of course, the amount of money being offered is about greed, is about retaining as much money as you can, and retaining the bonuses that you can. I'm afraid these people are very foolish, because in the end the tide will turn and they will find themselves in prison. Bullying, in the end, a bully is exposed.